After we find out the Houston Texans are hiring their offensive coordinator from the Rams, later in the day we find out that one of the Rams' stud players could be available, actually is available via trade. Should the Texans be in on it? Can they go get Cooper Kupp, and does it fit for the Houston Texans? Welcome to the channel. I'm Cody Stoots. Let's talk some Texans. Let's talk about the fit of Cooper Kupp, how he ended up becoming available as a trade asset. How exactly do we gauge the cost of a Cooper Kupp trade? There's some financial commitments associated with it, and ultimately, is it something the Texans should do? Let's get into it. Cooper Kupp tweeting out as the Rams informed him that he will be traded and the team will be looking for a trade, and he's also looking for the right place to continue competing for championships. He said he thought he would always end up in Los Angeles and retire as a member of the Rams, but he notes it's out of his control. He is going to do the best to handle that, and that he's taken pride in playing alongside his teammates and for the LA community, but that 2024 was one of the best training camps he'd had, and that he is getting ready for 2025, highly motivated as ever, and looking forward to playing elite football for years to come. Love you guys, but coming for it all. That from Cooper Kupp's official Twitter account. So Kupp informed by the Rams that he is going to be traded, and he is available via trade. Now, announcing this as Cooper Kupp does and the Rams sort of letting the NFL world know, it prevents one of those weird things where the team can't find anything and they have to just move on from the player and get nothing. Somebody somewhere will give you something for Cooper Kupp. Is that team the Houston Texans? Let's talk about the fit in Houston. Obviously, with the hiring of Nick Caley, who was the tight ends coach and pass game coordinator for the LA Rams, it's pretty natural to assume that Cooper Kupp would be on board with what Nick Caley's going to do as an offense. You got to imagine there's an extreme amount of carryover from what Caley saw and was coached up under Sean McVay in LA, and that would be something that Cooper Kupp would be familiar with should he get added to the Houston Texans roster. As far as the Texans go, look, they need wide receiver help. They've got Nico Collins. They don't currently have a number 2. They don't currently have a number 3. And really, I would tell you they don't currently have a number 4 wide receiver. They've got Xavier Hutchinson. They've got John Mechie, a handful of other options. Robert Woods is a free agent to be, and Tank Dell's status for 2025 is squarely a question mark. And even if Tank can play in 2025, he's not playing early on in the season. So the Texans are going to have to add lots of wide receiver options over the course of the offseason. And adding a player like Cooper Kupp is a pretty intriguing thing for the Texans. He primarily would win out of the slot for the Texans, and Kupp has, though not been up to 2021 standards when he won the receiving triple crown as well as offensive player of the year, is still a productive player. Let's take a look at his stats over the past 3 seasons. Missed a handful of games in each of them, but ultimately Kupp has still been a productive player. He's going to be 31 years old. He'll be 32 years old this upcoming season, and there's not a lot of wide receivers at the age of 32, really 30 and older, that go out there and have amazing seasons. There's actually only been, I think, 15 in the past 10 seasons that are 30 years or older that have 1,000 yards. So you're not really signing up for, you're not signing up for 1,900-yard Cooper Kupp. What you're signing up for is 700, 800, 900 yards from Cooper Kupp. Maybe being a little bit healthier gets him closer to 900, 1,000 yards over the course of a season, but he could still go out there and catch touchdowns, as you've seen 6, 5, and 6 in the previous 3 seasons. Again, the Texans are going to have to add multiple wide receivers, and where they are in the NFL draft, it becomes a little difficult to see exactly how they go out there and get one of the premier wide receivers at 25. And then if they wait around until 58, do they still get a wide receiver that can help them right away, or is there going to be some learning curve with that guy? That's another element of the 2025 season. You've got to be ready to accelerate things right now. You want to be competing for a championship. As much as you'd like to draft a player in 2025 at wide receiver, have him come in, learn the system, get used to it, get his feet wet, you really got to kind of put pedal to the metal here in 2025, win the division, find yourself in the hunt near the top of the AFC for one of the top seeds in the AFC. And, if things break the exact right way for you, maybe the bye and everything goes through NRG Stadium. That's what you would certainly hope for if you're the Texans. So you may lean a little bit more towards putting the top part of your wide receiver room on veterans like a guy like Cooper Kupp. As for the Texans, Kupp's a great fit for the Texans. He wants to chase championships. This team's going to win the AFC South. They're going to be in the playoffs, and his experience perhaps could help them go to the next level as a team in the wide receiver room. And there, of course, should be some young guys in there, and they can learn from Cooper Kupp as well. So what is the trade cost to get Cooper Kupp? Now, it's worth noting the Houston Texans, they've only got 6 draft picks so far this season, okay? They traded away a future second-round pick to get Stefon Diggs, so they don't have that. They've got their own selection in the first 4 rounds. They traded away their 6th-round selection, and their 5th-round selection is the Buffalo Bills selection. So we know they're picking 25th, we know they're picking 58th, and we know they're picking 89th. And then they have a 4th-round pick, the Bills' 5th-round pick, and their 7th-round pick. So when you're kind of coming up with what the cost to get Cooper Kupp is, you're trying to give some recent comparisons and kind of see. Well, Stefon Diggs is a really good comparison. Diggs was a year younger than Cooper Kupp and was coming off of a much more productive season than Cooper Kupp. He also has better health than Cooper Kupp over the past few years, and Stefon Diggs went for a future second-round pick. So I don't believe Cooper Kupp's going to be worth a future second-round pick, and a lot of general managers consider picks a year away to be worth a round later. So essentially a 3rd-round pick, if you will, but a future second-round pick for Stefon Diggs, I don't believe Cooper Kupp is going to go for that. Then you think about Keenan Allen. Now, Keenan Allen had some injury issues in his final few years with the Chargers, but he was coming off a really, really big year for the Chargers before he got dealt to the Bears, and he's the same age as Cooper Kupp right now. So Keenan Allen just played when he was 31, and then ended up being traded for a 4th-round pick last offseason. And if you remember the reports, the Texans offered a future 3rd-round pick for Keenan Allen. Didn't get Keenan Allen. They offered a future 3rd. That wasn't good enough. The Chargers took the current year 4th-round pick. So Keenan Allen went for an early 4th-round pick. Now, the Texans' 4th-round pick is a late 4th-round pick. So really where it comes down to for me is it feels like Cooper Kupp probably cost the Texans that 4th-round pick or a 5th-round pick and something else. Maybe it's a future selection. Maybe it's a player. Could be a variety of things. But it's going to go, I would say, at least for that 4th-round pick and then some. And that's if you're one of the only suitors for Cooper Kupp. Because I have to imagine, even with the dip in production and the age, Cooper Kupp is still a pretty useful wide receiver, pretty notable, and teams could use Cooper Kupp. And then there's also the money factor. The Texans do not have a tremendous amount of salary cap space out there. They're going to have to do some adjusting and some changing, and Texans Cap, who's an incredible resource on social media for cap questions. I texted him. He put out a big thread. But here's the important parts of the thread. LA could absorb some of the money that Cooper Kupp is owed to lessen the impact. Of course, if they take more money or keep more money, that's going to require a little bit better compensation on their end. The Texans would have to restructure some contracts. He mentions Nico Collins, Danielle Hunter, and Laramie Tunsil. And then in theory, he does believe it could get done from a money perspective, that they could rework the contract with Kupp and LA, get everybody involved, and then the reworked contract creates a little bit more space for the Texans in 2025. So, having said all of that, does Cooper Kupp make sense? I would say that yes, he does very much make sense for the Houston Texans, but not in an overpay situation. So if the Rams start eyeing that 89th overall pick, if the Rams start eyeing a future third round pick or something of that nature, that might just be where Nick Caserio, even with Nick Caley's experience with Cooper Kupp, that might just be where Nick Caserio bows out. It's also worth noting Nick Caley is going to have a pretty good understanding of exactly where Cooper Kupp is as a player right now, having just coached on the LA Rams. But that fourth round pick, I mean, think about what the fourth round pick has gotten the Texans over previous years. It's gotten them Cade Stover, who was a rotational player, but had a couple hundred receiving yards and a touchdown over the course of the season. It's gotten them Dylan Horton, who again was a rotational player. That fourth round pick is typically a player that's right on the fringe of contributing on a consistent basis. Cooper Kupp could absolutely contribute for the Texans on a consistent basis right off the bat. You think about, okay, well, say he gets Cody 850 receiving yards and 7 touchdowns. Well, that'd be one of the better wide receiver seasons that's not Nico Collins over the past few years for the Houston Texans. The Texans barely had a 700-yard receiver outside of Nico Collins in 2023. Tank Dell had just over 700 yards, and they didn't even have somebody get over 700 yards in 2024 outside of Nico Collins. So I like the pursuit of Cooper Kupp, but this could be a crowded market. There could be lots of teams interested in Cooper Kupp, and if the price rises past that fourth round pick, I don't know that I'm really in on it for the Texans. Maybe they could better utilize that fourth round pick in, say, a trade up or something of that nature. It's also worth noting, with just 6 selections in the 2025 NFL draft, trading back from number 25 overall is absolutely on the table for Nick Caserio. And if he was able to trade back, say, 7, 8, 10 spots and acquire some additional draft capital, it makes it a little bit easier to spend maybe a little bit more than you'd want on Cooper Kupp to get that veteran playmaking wide receiver into the fold. All right, let's get to your comments, questions, joys, and concerns. Super chats go to the front of the line. We'll get to as many as we can. Lucid Illusions fires away. I just don't see any restructures like Nico or Tunsil. Would love to have him, but the cap issues scare me, thus barely being in the positive. You can adjust and finagle and change and move things around from a cap perspective. I'm not super worried about the financial commitment element to Cooper Kupp. Again, when you rework the contract, he didn't have the same type of year that Stefon Diggs had. Diggs made over $20 million in his one season with the Texans. So you could lower the financial commitment to Cooper Kupp once you get him into the building. Thank you for the super chat, Lucid Illusions. Ben says, congrats on 10K, Stoots. Been watching since 2023. Hey, appreciate you. I was unaware that we'd hit that 10K mark, but thank you. It's been a long trek to 10,000 subscribers here on the channel. I appreciate each and every one of them. Thank you for the super chat and the congratulations, and for watching for the better part of 2 years, Ben. Thank you. Zach Rose says, Stoots, would you take Kupp over Diggs? I'd be okay with one vet to provide competition. I think Kupp is still solid and probably a little bit more dynamic than Diggs. If it was just normal Stefon Diggs, knew he was coming in after playing his typical amount of football, I clearly would pick Stefon Diggs. But Stefon Diggs is coming off of a serious knee injury, the first serious knee injury of his career, and the wrong side of 30. You don't know how that's going to respond and bounce back. And so I would lean towards Cooper Kupp, even though Kupp has a history of missing a handful of games over the course of a season. I would hope that what he said and what he talked about there with getting ready for 2025 could have him playing just a handful more games. I lean Kupp over Diggs. I also feel like the price difference isn't going to be drastically different because Stefon Diggs, I mean, he's coming off a $20+ million contract, and I know he's coming off a knee injury, probably needs a prove-it type of deal, but I can't imagine he's taking some small amount, whereas Cooper Kupp, he wants to help a team win. He wants to chase a championship. And getting paid big bucks at wide receiver at your age, that's tougher. Can we negotiate you down a little bit? Maybe you save a couple bucks comparatively between the two players. Zach, appreciate the super chat. Dietology, no one can convince me we're not re-signing Diggs. Well, okay, I won't try to then. I don't believe they're going to resign Stefon Diggs. I just don't believe you can rely on Stefon Diggs for when you need him. Think about this now. You're putting in a new offense. You're putting in a totally new offense. You're going to need guys available for minicamp, for OTAs, for training camp. And if Stefon Diggs' knee injury lingers into minicamp, OTAs, training camp, the beginning of the season, all of a sudden he's playing catch up in a brand new offense. You need guys that know what they need to do from day one in this offense. That's another element that hurts Stefon Diggs. If they were keeping the same offense, it'd be easier to integrate him as soon as he's healthy, but they're starting a new offense here with Nick Caley as the offensive coordinator. So it has got to be somebody who's available in the offseason for you. That's the way I look at it. Appreciate the super chat, Dietology. All right. Lover J says having Kupp or Diggs means we'd literally have 0 receivers on the roster to rely on health-wise minus a rookie or 2. Nico's guaranteed to get injured every year. Heck no. So he's not in favor of any of the veteran guys with injury issues. The tough part about trying to go and find wide receivers that are healthy all the time is most of those guys don't become available over the course of an off season. You know, if you want to go out there and find guys that just don't miss games, it's tougher to find. I mean, yeah, look, you go with, say, someone like DK Metcalf, he basically never misses games. So if you could get DK Metcalf and you want to rely on him and you just have 2 super freaky wide receivers, that's assuming DK Metcalf is even available to be had. You know, yeah, DK Metcalf, but he's way more expensive than Cooper Kupp. He's younger. He stays healthy. He's going to cost more from a draft pick perspective. So, like, it's very hard to go guarantee healthy guys. It's just a risk. It's a roll of the dice that you have to put in there. And I would tell you the Rams dealt with some of those injuries, guys in and out of the lineup. So maybe Nick Caley is more equipped to handle some of the in and out nature of the wide receiver situation. So that's what I would say. It's tough, though. When your wide receivers get hurt, it's really hard. That's when you got to lean on the rushing attack. Hopefully Joe Mixon stays healthy. And then hopefully the guys that fill the 3rd, 4th, 5th spot on the roster have a little bit more durability to them than Nico Collins, who has been hurt all of his NFL seasons, and then Cooper Kupp, who has been hurt the past few years. Sean G says, joining late, did you discuss the contracts? Yeah, contract adjustments for Hunter or Tunsil or Nico Collins could create you the space there. Luis says, we need to think about trading DP, Mechie, Schultz, and Howard. I just don't know how much of these guys, what value do these guys have? Is there value to having, can you get something of note from Dameon Pierce or John Mechie or Titus Howard and his big contract and Dalton Schultz and his big contract? I just don't know that teams are knocking down your door to get those guys. Jarman Holmes says, I'm from Houston, Texas. Texans need to get Cooper Kupp. I mean, there is an element of the name. There is an element of the name being more attractive than what the player is right now. And I saw some NFL film evaluators tweet out, hey, look, he still does this well. He still does that well. He doesn't separate as well. Okay, well, if CJ Stroud goes back to his pinpoint accuracy that he had in 2023, the separation issues will be less tough to deal with. Not sure says just too old. Yeah, look, I mean, you're going to have to find an old guy to be in this wide receiver room. It can't just be Nico Collins and a bunch of guys on their second, third job unproven as the wide receiver room or a bunch of rookies. Like, you're going to have an old guy in there. So at some point, you got to invest in somebody who's 30 years old or older. J.O. wants T. Higgins. I mean, I think a lot of teams want T. Higgins. I think he's really going to be really expensive. Probably one of the biggest contracts signed this offseason is going to be T. Higgins. So it's tough. It's tough to get T. Higgins. It's tough to get T. Higgins. Front runner says pass on Kupp. Marky Mark says Tyler Lockett. Now, look, Tyler Lockett, older player, might get cut by the Seattle Seahawks. And maybe if they kind of send the signal flare up that, hey, Tyler Lockett, he's available. Lockett is an Iron Man. He basically plays every game. He only had 600 yards this year, 2 touchdowns, so he's not as productive as Cooper Kupp, but obviously maybe he wouldn't cost as much as Cooper Kupp if you want to trade for him, adjust his salary. So, Tyler Lockett's a name to keep an eye on, certainly. Certainly try to keep an eye on him. Brandon Flores says a 5th-round pick at most. I know Nick Caserio not overpaying. Yeah, Nick Caserio loves like the throw-in trades at the back. Like, hey, I give you a 4th and you give me Cooper Kupp and a 5th. Or like, I give you a 5th and a 4th next year and you give me Cooper Kupp and a 5th 2 years from now. Like, he loves that little add-in on the back end there. So, Caserio, I trust him to not go out there and get crazy with any of these potential trades that you would have to go and make for Cooper Kupp or any of these wide receivers. Look, I don't feel like he overpaid for Stefon Diggs last year either. I feel like it was the right amount to spend on Stefon Diggs, and Caserio did a good job with that trade. They ultimately ended up with some really nice players when they moved back in the draft. It gave them the ability to move around on day 3. They got the guy they wanted on day 3. So in Cade Stover. So it's a pretty it's been pretty good for Nick Caserio when it comes to being the right value for trading for a player. So I would expect that he's not going to really overpay. Isaiah says Kupp for a 4th-round pick at Shaq Mason. Yeah, I wish this was the NBA where you just make the money match and it works that way. But Shaq Mason, I feel like, is going to get cut. So, Mason, Texans move on from him. And I don't know that any team really wants him. Like, the Rams don't need him. The Rams have been getting by without investing heavily in the offensive line. They've spent one top 100 draft pick on offensive linemen in the past 5 drafts. Sumo says Kupp isn't realistic, can't afford him. Now, if you mean from a draft pick compensation standpoint, yeah, I certainly understand not wanting to give away one of the 6 picks that you do have in this year's draft. Financially, from a salary cap thing, they can make it work. Now, does it limit you from doing some other things elsewhere? Yeah, like if you told me getting Cooper Kupp prevents you from getting one of the top backup corners on the market, I'd probably still go with Kupp because Kupp plays every down, basically. The top backup corner hopefully never plays. Like, yeah, they got to replace Jeff Okudah. You could do that maybe with a draft pick, or you could do that with a low-cost veteran. But it'd be nice to have a higher-priced backup cornerback. But if it's Cooper Kupp or a higher-priced backup cornerback, I'm taking Cooper Kupp. So again, the money, I wouldn't worry too much about the money. It feels like they can make that work. Diablo worried about the money. Pay no thanks. I'd rather draft a wide receiver in round 2. Look at it. If you want to you can get younger and still get Cooper Kupp. You can trade for Cooper Kupp, still draft a wide receiver, and then bing, bang, boom, there's your top 3. Nico Collins, Cooper Kupp, and rookie wide receiver. So there's your top 3. Luis says, can Cooper Kupp play guard or center? No, he can't. Now, this is where, but, Luis brings up a good point. Where do you place the emphasis in improving the wide receiver room, which is one guy deep right now, or the offensive line, which needs some new faces? Now, you've got some options in the building to play right guard. Juice Scruggs could play right guard for you. Do you feel great about it? Probably not. Maybe Nick Caley and his offense and the coaching staff that he selects would be able to improve the offensive line play of some of the younger guys, including Juice Scruggs. You don't feel great about Juice Scruggs, but if it's Scruggs at right guard and Cooper Kupp at wide receiver, or, a rookie and another 30-year-old veteran who doesn't have Cooper Kupp's track record and a medium-priced right guard, like, how do you weigh it out? Like, do you have to go invest in that right guard spot, or can you find a option on the roster, hope that it gets better? Now, that's what they did last year. They hoped for the guys they had to take the steps. They didn't take the steps. It was pretty bad. So you probably need a veteran right guard. That's not going to be cheap. Teams love to pay offensive linemen. So a veteran right guard is certainly a priority. And if adding Cooper Kupp takes you out of the veteran right guard market, yeah, it might not be the right move. Yeah, Metcalf is a better option. Yeah, DK Metcalf's also expensive. He's got an expensive contract. He costs a lot more than a 4th or a 5th round pick. So DK Metcalf, as much as fun as I would like it for it to be on the Texans, and they would have, I mean, my gosh, what a 1-2 punch in DK Metcalf and Nico Collins. As great as that would be, I don't know how you afford it from a salary cap perspective and how you trade your draft capital and go get that. But it'd be nasty. It'd be nasty. Zach says, Stoots, would you trade Tunsil for Metcalf, put Blake Fisher at left tackle, put Titus back at right tackle? No, I don't think so. Trading Laramie Tunsil is just so tough. I know that the overall performance of the offensive line wasn't good, but Laramie Tunsil did his job. I know penalties notwithstanding. He does his job, and he does his job at a very high level. So it'd be very tough to replace him. Fisher is not ready to play left tackle right now. Titus Howard, I wouldn't feel good about putting him at left tackle. Yeah, I know he had like a 2-game stretch where he was awesome at left tackle a couple of years ago, but I wouldn't feel great about it. Suma says, don't trade Dameon Pierce. I got news for you. Dameon Pierce may not make this team. If he doesn't get moved to another team, he may not make the team. Like, they should bring in competition for Dameon Pierce. Adrian says Brevin Jordan breakout year, hopefully. Look, yeah, Brevin Jordan coming back off the injury. He tweeted the excited emoji today once the Nick Caley offensive coordinator hire was made. So maybe Brevin Jordan is a guy that can make it happen for you. But you can't, again, if you're betting on Brevin Jordan taking a step going into the 2025 season, like, that's a really, really risky wager to make. Like, you need something a little bit more. You need something a little bit more for sure than like, oh, Brevin Jordan coming off a knee injury being a really good contributor when he basically has not been a consistent contributor previously. Stoots, what do you think about them getting a running back in the draft? Deepest running back draft in years. I'd advocate for 2 running backs, to be honest with you. Not sure Pierce is that number 2 guy. I'm not sure he is either, and they're not sure that he is either. So, T. Guidry says, way less flashy, but I want Nick Westbrook-Akine. He toasted the Texans. That was an old Bill O'Brien thing. When a guy had a good year against the Texans, Bill O'Brien would go and try to get him even though he didn't have any juice left. That was the Chris Polk thing. It was on Hard Knocks. He's like, yeah, that guy tore us up. We got to get him. It's like there wasn't anything good about his season outside of tearing you up. Why'd you go get him? So. Saw the Texans were shopping Tunsil today. Any credence to that? I mean, if they were, I don't know that I don't think you'd like put it out there. Like, I don't think you'd have it out. I think it'd be one of those like, oh my God, I didn't know he was available, but they told like a couple of teams he was. Again, replacing Laramie Tunsil would be very difficult. Like, your left tackle play would take a step back unless Blake Fisher's just a prodigy, which doesn't look like he is. Your left tackle play would take a step back if you traded Laramie Tunsil. Now you'd get some compensation and you'd free up a little bit of money, I'm sure, but your line is worse. Your line is worse. Will Kunkel from Fox 26 and Kicking It with Kunkel, which I am a frequent guest talking football. He says, damn, a lot of Stoots today. what more can I say? The people want to talk football. I'm ready to talk football. Adrian wants a draft of 2 wide receivers, one early and one late. Ruderick says, Diggs is useless. Tank is cursed. All the backups are useless. All we have is Nico. It's not played a full season. Damn, this makes no sense. Well, don't go to Ruderick's for hope. Sean G says, as a first-time play caller, do you think Caley had the green light to pick his own staff, or will Nick be like, you should choose this guy? It'd be worth picking Nick Caserio and D'Amico Ryans' brains about who would be useful for the staff, but I have to imagine he's got some guys in mind, and you aren't always able to get those guys, but I got to imagine he's got some guys in mind. Doyle jumps to the front with a super chat. Do the guys on defense give a discount so that we have the money to build up / buy a potent offense? It's always like contract adjustments and willingness to change things. And it's like nobody's giving you money back. Is somebody maybe a veteran who would take $1 million less to play for the Texans than play for the Browns? Maybe somebody in free agency does that, but nobody's walking into Nick Caserio's office is like, take money from my contract and give it to the guys on offense. Like, it's a good thought. And contract adjustments, like the Texans cap brought some of those up. Like, you can adjust, what did he use? Basic restructures is the phrase that he used. Like, you can restructure some deals, and those typically are player-friendly moves. So you can do that, but nobody's giving back money to make sure the offense is better. It's a nice idea, but it's unfortunate that that's not what happens. Joe Bull 10 says, I've seen Zabel jumping up in recent mock drafts, as you called it. What do you think of Booker's slide down those same mock drafts? Now, it's worth noting, Tyler Booker's been sliding in the mock drafts. That's the Alabama offensive guard, Tyler Booker. Zabel is Gray Zabel, the North Dakota State University offensive lineman. He's going to play interior, so guard or center. So Gray Zabel, NDSU, Tyler Booker, Alabama. Booker started out as one of the better guards. The draft process in these first few weeks has not been super kind to him, so he's dipped a little bit. He's back up. He was Matt Miller's pick for the Houston Texans in his 2-round mock draft. He picked Tyler Booker, the offensive guard, out of Alabama in his 2-round mock draft for the Texans. So he's been moving back up a little bit. And Booker, he's going to interview well. The tape's going to look pretty good. The workouts should be good. Like, he's going to settle somewhere 20 to 50. So I'm not thinking he's just going to take a tumble. That'd be very strange if he did. Let's see, couple more. JC Square, congrats on 9.99 thousand. Yeah, thank you, JC. Thank you. Yeah, it's been a fun run here on the channel, and I think actually I'm at 99.99 right now. So right on the 10,000 precipice. I appreciate all the subscribers, all the supporters, all the chatters. Thank you. Thank you. AJ Hinosa has quite the list here. Josh Palmer, formerly with the Chargers. Diami Brown, who's playing for is he the guy that's on the Eagles right now? Tutu Atwell's a former Ram. Elijah Moore, KJ Osborne, Greg Dortch. Depth pieces definitely need to draft a few wide receivers, draft interior line, and a tight end. Yeah, the tough part is you got 6 picks. You got a lot more stuff that you can use on the draft picks. So you're going to have to be smart in free agency. Find yourself some options if the rookies don't become available for you. I must Pandling. There's 5 running backs in the building. And how many of them do you trust besides Joe Mixon? Stoots, should the Texans pick a left guard with the 24th pick? Well, if they get the 24th pick, it'd be a big surprise because they had 25. But I would take a guard. Yeah, if you get to 25, there's no interested parties and trade backs and stuff like that. Yeah, I'd take a guard. Doyle with the super chat. Appreciate you, Doyle. Let's just hit the like button. Thank you, Doyle. It's a little thumbs up button down below the video. Thank you. And then Zach Rose says, get Noah Brown back. Yes, Noah Brown, who lost his job because he was injured in training camp, went and performed decently for the Commanders and then ultimately got hurt for the Washington Commanders. But yeah, there's worse ways to spend some money. I think, did he sign a – did I confuse Dyami Brown and who did I confuse him with? Who's the guy that the commies used to have that they put on the Eagles? Anyway, Noah Brown is a free agent if you want him back. That ship to me maybe has sailed. It was fun to talk about it in the season because the guys that were on the team instead of Noah Brown, weren't as good. Let's see here. Seen someone at CBS had us take Grant out of Michigan. So that's Kenneth Grant, defensive tackle out of Michigan, and had Gray Zabel going next. I like Grant if there's no linemen or weapons. So Kenneth Grant, interior defensive tackle, interior defensive lineman, defensive tackle from Michigan. Super strong, going to be a guy that is really, really good in the draft process. A lot of good tape. So I just don't know if you can go defense in the first round. You got so many holes on offense. So many holes on offense. Cody should seriously be hired by the Texans, smarter than all these fools. I mean, honestly, I think it's a very difficult life. I don't have any sort of extensive background. I've been a talking head for however many years I've been doing this now. But I would consider. I think the draft is one of my favorite things. I would consider giving up everything I have to go be a big time scout, but that's not a realistic thing. They don't let people start scouting at my age. And if I did that, I couldn't talk with everybody here. But if in an alternate world, I spend my time going to be a scout and end up as a scout and maybe make my way through a front office. That's how much I love the NFL draft. And honestly, when radio wasn't going good, I certainly thought about it a couple of times. But then I figured it out a little bit. Think a backloaded Kupp contract, Gray Zabel from North Dakota State type interior offensive lineman in round 1. Day 2 wide receiver can fix the prominent needs early. Certainly. Great first name by this guy, Cody Smith. 10K Stoots, let's go. Yeah, thank you, everybody. We officially got over 10,000 subscribers here on the channel. It's been a fantastic run. It's not stopping anytime soon. I'm not quitting to go be a scout like I just talked about for 5 seconds there. Thank you, everybody. It really is. It really does mean a lot. This is what I do for a living. It's a lot of fun. I'm very grateful and I'm very blessed that I get to do this. So thank you, everybody, for the support. It's very, very cool. And it makes this job so much fun. Getting to talk football with all of you. So thank you. Thank you. The Nick Caley 10K stream. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, everybody, for 10K. I trust British Brooks to do what? They didn't even trust him to be a running back. They made him a fullback. Jahan Dotson is who I confused Dyami Brown with. Different guy. Bad job by me. Yep, Jahan. I'm behind on the chat. You guys had the answer for me right away. Emeka Egbuka, Ohio State wide receiver. Golden from Texas or Jack Besh from TCU. All on the board at 25. Who do you take? Egbuka. He's got low end wide receiver 1, top end wide receiver 2 talent. He has everything. Egbuka's comp from a lot of people is top end Robert Woods. I think we forget how good Robert Woods was a few years ago. We got to watch the end of Robert Woods, but if you got top end Robert Woods with the 25th overall pick, that's a really good pick. Besh, though, man, I love watching Besh play football. I love watching Besh. Cody, you'd be a great scout, man. I think I'd be really bad at it. I feel like I would fall in love with players and stories, and I don't know that I have the cold enough nature to get rid of guys and to be very critical of guys. So, and thank you, everybody. 10,000. Thank you. Didology is Kevin Zeitler, the former Detroit Lions right guard and option. Certainly a free agent. If you wanted to bet on an older guy, he got banged up there a little bit towards the back end of the season, but played a lot of good football. Certainly, I'd consider him. Certainly. Because they cut all the fullbacks, LMAO. Okay, Cody. Look, they had him on the roster as a fullback and then didn't use him and didn't trust him when they ran out of running backs to be a running back. Like, I'm just going off how they operated, not how I feel about it. Yeah, y'all are ridiculous. You want to cut everybody, get some new guys around and do the same shit. You're not wrong. People love a little roster churn. People love a little roster churn. Mechie gets open, he just needs to start catching the ball, and Hutchinson showed some promise. Yeah, but I can't bet on them. I will say British Brooks, just quick sidebar, British Brooks seemed like he was really getting it going on special teams. Matthew Golden's the most versatile of those guys. I disagree. I feel like Besh is more versatile. I feel like you can trust Besh to go inside and outside. Yeah, the guy that didn't trust Dameon Pierce just got fired. That's true. Sure. Doyle with the super chat. Thank you, Doyle. 10,000 subs is awesome to get one of those plaques now. No, I think you only get one of the plaques I think you get a plaques for 100K. I'm not sure when you get the YouTube plaques. When do you get YouTube plaques? Yeah, so you get a silver one for 100,000 subscribers. So we're a tenth of the way there. And at this pace, we should be there by 2050. So if we stay on this current pace, we'll get a little 100,000 subscriber thing. I can put it right here between my card art that nobody wants to buy and under my on air sign. But we're on pace one day for that. But seriously, I don't need 100K. I just need people to show up every time and talk football with me, and I enjoy the hell out of it, and it's fun. Doyle, appreciate the super chat. Pawn Shop 84 says, when are you going to make an intro song? Good question. Good question. Sooner rather than later. I mean, I don't know that I totally need one. It'd be nice to have one probably. Just to have one to kind of get, just something unique that when you hear it, it's Cody Stoots. It's the Cody Stoots, show thing happening. And, maybe something like 80s rock or something. I don't know. We find something. Pawn Shop. Thank you. Besh is too slow to go outside. Everybody's slow. Everybody's fast. I don't know. Besh didn't look too slow last week in Mobile, Alabama. So 2050 sooner than you think. You're damn right about that. You're damn right. What genre? Folk indie. Yeah, folk indie. Just like some real light guitar, maybe some piano in the background. And like it's a little like, it's the Cody Stoots show. Boo 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 boo. Need a speedy wide receiver to take the top off the defense. Wouldn't hurt. Wouldn't hurt. Cody needs a wrestling intro. DeRhino doing a little bit of the thinking on the intro song. DeRhino, appreciate you for the support. Yeah, the wrestling theme one's be fun. Quintria says, if they win a Super Bowl, I promise you'll get 100K in 1 year. Well, wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't that be nice? They win a Super Bowl. I don't know if I care about 100K, but it'd be fun. Haluda, good to see you. A couple more. Cody Smith, Besh, if you just need a solid wide receiver 2-3, Golden a bit above him. Abuka is easily the top. Best prospect of the three. My comp is Deontay without pissing off every team. Yeah. That's nice. Hey, he's Deontay Johnson without the attitude issue. Most underrated Senior Bowl guy. Pat Bryant's probably up there. Pat Bryant. Tafuna, the defensive tackle from From Utah, Junior Tafuna. Defensive tackle from Utah. Underrated Senior Bowl guy. Get AI to create a song for you. Man, AI's up and down. I don't know about AI. Stoots, what player do you want at 25? The best one. I mean, realistically, if a good wide receiver's there, I mean, Luther Burden would be awesome. I'd like that. That'd be great. I don't know if he's going to get there. How about a Stoots-Landry wrestle match? I mean, I don't think either one of us survived that. He's in better shape for it than me, but we'd both be hurting for a month. Arroyo's end zone dance gave me some Aaron Hernandez vibes. Come on. Come on. Come on. Just because he's got the Hispanic name, don't do that. Cody should celebrate El Tiempo for getting his guy. Let's, maybe we save the celebration, see if he's worth the hoot. I believe he's going to be worth the hoot, but maybe we save the celebration, Cristino says, thoughts on Kyle Williams from Washington State and Ricky White from UNLV. Cristino, this is an underrated comment here because not only did you put the position, but you put the school that they went to. And if you can do this, if you know this, then please put this. Kyle Williams had a really good week at the Senior Bowl. I know he kind of went viral for his not great releases off the his not great releases off the line, but he ended up beating a bunch of guys, and I thought he had a really nice week at the Senior Bowl. He told me that if he got in the same wide receiver room with Nico Collins, it would be electric. He told me he's going to run really fast at the combine too. And then Ricky White, I haven't dug into him. I know that Ricky White's kind of a fast riser here in the process. A lot of draft people like him, but I'm excited to find out more about Ricky White. Looked a lot better when they had a quarterback than when they didn't have a quarterback, when their guy transferred, But yeah, I like both those guys. Mid round guys, late round guys, maybe. Dietology, hear me out, but Quez Walker, haha, I kid, but speed, please. Quez Walker. Quez Walker. I'm lost here, man. I don't know. Dietology, give me a little clarification there. I appreciate the super chat. Quez Walker. I'm losing it here. Oh, is he a draft prospect? What am I missing here? You playing a joke on me? What's going on? Can we get Genty at running back by any chance? It's Ashton Genty from Boise State. Probably not. Probably not. Quez Watkins. Oh, okay. He's been around the league for a few years now. Originally out of Southern Miss, played for the Eagles, Steelers a little bit in 2024, Cardinals this past season. I guess the Cardinals, yeah, so he's a reserve future contract with the Cardinals. It's Quez Watkins. So he's not available, unfortunately. He's not available. But, hey, maybe he gets cut or, throw a future seventh their way and get him. Draft has good running back depth. Draft has great running back depth. Great running back depth. So, all right, that'll do it for the live stream tonight. Cooper Kupp conversation, a little bit of draft stuff, and hey, we'll do this a whole bunch of more times here before the NFL draft gets here. We've got staffing stuff to go through on the Nick Caley hire, so that'll come in the next couple of days. Who's staying, who's going, who's he going to be able to bring in, what type of coach are they, what kind of history do they have? That's something to be looking out for in the next couple of days. Of course, SNL every day, 4 o'clock, comes your way on the SNL channel. Appreciate you for subscribing to that. And again, thank you, everybody, from the bottom of my heart. Thank you. 10,000 subscribers is fantastic. It is greatly appreciated. I'm going to continue to bring the type of content that I've always brought. I'm going to hopefully get even better at it. We're going to the Combine in 3 weeks. So 3 weeks from now, it'll be live from Indianapolis for a few days. Going to talk to draft prospects. I truly have, there's other people that tell you they have the best job in the world. They're liars. They don't. I have the best job in the world, and it's all thanks to you. So I appreciate it greatly. Thank you so much. I got to go work on articles. I got to go work on stickers. People want the stickers. We'll get the stickers. Okay, we'll get the stickers. Era Good Vibes 2.0. Yeah, it's coming your way. Don't worry about that. It's my hope for you. It's my charge for you as well. That's how we end the live stream each and every time. I want you to eat good. I want you to sleep good. I want you to be good. We'll talk Texans again soon. Thanks for watching, everybody. And thank you again.